What's up, desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are back with another video. And today I'm comparing Brett Wilkin from the 2021 Chicago Pro, where he placed second to Hunter Labrada, with Michal Krizo, who obviously just won last weekend at the Amateur Olympia in Italy, took out the overall and won his IFBB Pro Card. I don't think he would have had an issue with his Pro Card either, just because I think three guys actually got their Pro Card at that contest, so it was hard to imagine he wouldn't have actually got his Pro Card. So, guys, I'm going to share my screen, and we have a poll up as well on the YouTube community tab, and it's showing on the screen right now. It's Brett Wilkin versus Michal Krizo. Said, who wins if these two go head to head? Video incoming. This is the video. Brett Wilkin was actually leading, but he's dropped to 49%. Michal Krizo, 51% of you guys think Michal Krizo would win, and he actually had an early lead. Brett Wilkin got ahead by a few percent, and then Brett comes back and got a few comments going up as well right now. Thor Stormlord says Brett wins. Are we being real here? Then you got Jessen says Michal Krizonek. Yeah, I know his name's Michal Krizonek, but obviously he goes by Michal Krizo most of the time. So we've obviously got that poll there. So it seems obviously very, very close on what people's opinions are of this and who would actually get up and win. And I'm actually going to find my other screen right now and try to bring that up. We're trying to bring this screen up actually, so I can't actually find it to try to go to the next thing. But we'll actually go to the side-by-side comparison. And you guys can also vote in this YouTube live as well. So make sure you do get your votes in. But we're going to go to this side-by-side comparison. I've made a video of these guys posing next to each other. So let's get straight to that. You guys can let me know pose by pose who you think wins each pose in the comments as well. And I'll be keeping track of your guys' comments. So let's get into this one, and we'll go pose by pose with Brett Wilkin and Michal Krizo. You can see the front relax. They go into the front lat spread first. And on this pose, I'll say, like, I'll start with Brett on the left here. Like, his legs, I think, look really good here. Like, everyone sort of says about his legs, but his adductors are actually really, really filled out. And it's hard to tell with the moving background of Michal Krizo, but his just aren't quite as impressive in the adductors, but the legs are overall pretty decent. He does have some pretty decent quads from the front. The rest of the pose, you can see here, Brett's lats fill out that pose a lot better. When you look at the gap, obviously it's a different angled photo, so it makes it hard. But I do think that Brett's lats, in terms of the front lat spread, do look better. Now, when you look through the arms and the chest on Brett is very impressive, but the arms and delts are definitely more impressive on Michal Krizo. So this one's tough. I mean, if you're going for, depending how much emphasis you're actually putting onto the actual lats themselves in this front lat spread, I would, if you're putting plenty of emphasis on that, give it to Brett. If not, maybe you'll give it to Michal Krizo, because that delt, arms, chest combo and just the width across there is pretty crazy. But I think that's a pretty close pose, but I'll give that one to Michal Krizo just narrowly. That one is actually very, very close. Probably 50-50 on that one, to be honest. Then the front double bicep. This is sort of Michal Krizo's famous sort of well-known pose. And I'd probably have to give it to him on that one as well. So I've got Michal Krizo up 2-0, or maybe like 2 and 1 and then a tie. Now, where does Brett actually beat Michal on this pose? Now, the waist to lat ratio is definitely more impressive on Brett, just the way his midsection looks in this photo, in this pose. Brett doesn't have bad arms whatsoever. I mean, there's still a lot of mass there. His arms aren't as peaky, definitely, as a Michal Krizo, so he definitely wins it in that regard. So I'd have Michal winning on the front double bicep. And also as well, Brett's not sitting on his quads quite as well in the front double. Now let's move in to the side chest. I've got it 2-0, would say, for Michal right now. Now here it gets a lot closer, and Brett's side shots are actually really, really good. The fact that he looks sort of so aesthetic in the shots as well, and they're super hard, and he looks super dense, and just the side leg. I mean, it's obviously not as good video quality for Michal in this video, but I'd say this one is very, very close. I'd say toss of a coin. So let's say 2-0 to Michal, and we'll call this one a tie. No, the show is not today. A lot of guys get in the comments. Let me know who you think wins each pose. Just say, Brett or Michal on the side chest. And the show is not today. They're actually not competing head-to-head, at least in the first show. They're both planning to do this late season. Brett's actually planning to do Romania in 4.5 weeks, and Michal is doing the Prague Pro, which is in 2.5 weeks. I don't know anyone else who's actually doing Prague. So let me know if you do know anyone else doing the Prague Pro. If not, it seems like Michal will qualify for the 2022 Mr. Olympia. And let's get through a few more of these poses. So I have it two poses to Michal and a tie so far. Now the side tricep. This is my favorite pose on Brett. You can see just the way he hits that shot. Brett, hands down, wins that side tricep. Like, that is, for me, a very easy win because the aesthetics of the pose, for starters, plus he has the roundness. So I really, really do like this look on Brett. He's getting more of that, and we'll show his latest physique update a little bit later as well. So you can see a bit more. He's got actually a side tricep that he's hitting. He's still got 4.5 weeks, and I think that he's going to dial it in, probably look his best of all time, I think. And Michal, someone saying he's not hit the pose yet. He definitely had hit the pose, but let's see. We'll try to get a better angle for Michal. No, that's pretty much how it is. It was pretty much in that sort of, his glutes actually flickered on a little bit. People were not giving him any credit for the condition he actually came in this show. He actually was in pretty decent condition, I thought, especially compared to what people actually said he looked like. I think it's pretty bad in terms of the feedback he got in terms of his conditioning. So I try his awkward pose for Krizo. That's what Trevor11 says. Yeah, I agree. And Let's Go Champ says Krizo just doesn't know how to pose yet. But obviously you have to judge them on how they're hitting the pose. So maybe if he could hit it different, maybe be challenging or beating Brett. But that is a very good pose for Brett, and he's just obviously ultra conditioned. So I'm going off for conditioning as well. So it's 2 poses to 1 leading Krizo. So the back double bicep, I thought Krizo was actually a lot better at this show than it has been in the past. He's definitely been working on his back. Also, those delts and arms are absolutely crazy. But when you look at the waist to lat ratio, it's not that impressive for Krizo. And when you compare it to Brett, and Brett, although he doesn't have the deep straight and delts or anything in this show, he actually did have them a bit. I think it's more of a lighting. And the lighting, no one actually looked in good condition at this Chicago Pro apart from Brett Wilkin. So that tells me that he's probably in a lot better condition than the video shows. And everyone said he was absolutely shredded. And you can see how deep the lines are in his glutes as well. So on this one, just because I think that while Michal across the shoulders and arms is very, very impressive, I just think the rest of the pose falls apart a bit. And just from the waist down, Brett definitely wins it with those glutes being so striated, super detailed through the hamstrings. The calves are popping like crazy. I would give that one to Brett. Just when you look at the overall structure, the shape of it, and just the way, like, he's still very thick through the traps. And yeah, Michal has more through the shoulders and arms, but I think overall I'd still give that one to Brett. So I'd say 2 each at this point. Now we're going into the rear lats Brett here. I think from memory, I give this one hands down to Brett. Yeah, so this one here, Michal sort of stopped the pose because he got sent off stage just after this because they were, I don't know, running late on time, which I found ridiculous considering he was only on stage for about 30 seconds or so. But that one, I give it to Brett hands down. I think that's pretty much Michal into the pose or very, very close to it. So Brett's just a lot wider shoulder to, that lat width at the top. Like, he's almost like how Mark Hector has his lats that just pop right at the top like that, out like crazy. I think it's a really, really cool look. And the fact that Brett's conditioned in this one as well, I think that he looks absolutely fantastic there. Hands down to Brett. So I've got Brett up 3-2 at this point and 1 tied pose. As we go through, I think this is the ab and thigh, possibly. Now, Brett actually doesn't go into that and doesn't crunch the ab and thigh 100% properly when he hits it like that. You can see the top abs could probably be crunched in a little bit more, and he hasn't just breathed it out well enough. And then he sort of opens up the pose again and then goes into this side one where you can see Michal goes into that side one as well. And as you can see, well, Michal's just sort of come out of that pose a little bit. I don't want to disadvantage anyone. But as you can see, it's definitely a much, much more pleasing pose there for Brett Wilkin. And the front ab pose as well, even though Brett wasn't hitting it 100% correctly, I still think that I would have to give that to Brett just on the whole aesthetics of it. I think that he's just a more aesthetic bodybuilder. Although Michal doesn't look terrible on that, his physique just doesn't flow perfectly. And some good points in the comments as well. SIG says Krizo doesn't have glutes, question mark. His glutes are a little underdeveloped, but they were in very, very good condition. K Metziger says hard to compare when they're in different camera lighting. Absolutely, yeah. This is more for fun and obviously just to see how they might match up and who might win each pose. So I'd say Brett on that one. So Brett's up. I think he's at 4-2 at the moment in one tied pose, and then we've got the most muscular coming up as well. And that one for me is hands down Brett Wilkin. We forget how impressive this pose is. I will say one thing about when Brett hits this, he actually goes up into doing it like that, where he pulls up a little bit more. I don't think that's as good. I think when he's crunched down on his abs, it's much more impressive. Obviously, he's trying something on a pro stage, and it might look different, when you're posing in a gym. But that is definitely more impressive from Brett with the crunched abs, because bodybuilders often forget, and you forget yourself when you're competing. When you're hitting a pose, sometimes you forget about your midsection, how that looks. But to everyone else watching, it looks very, very obvious. So I'd say Brett on that one. And then this most muscular, obviously hitting completely different most musculars, but Krizo, ignoring the blurry sort of video that we're seeing on the screen now, he's actually pretty cut in. Like when you look at the actual separation between the delts and the biceps and the triceps, there's a fair bit of detail going on there. So I wouldn't say this is a complete wipeout or anything like that. I'd say this is actually pretty close for this pose, but it is a very, very impressive pose there for Brett Wilkin. So I've got to say that, this is hard to tell because of the lighting. So but I would just say that's probably too impressive that I would give it to Brett Wilkin. I will say that it's probably a little bit more zoomed in on Brett as well. And obviously different lighting, all that sort of stuff. But I thought a video version of this where we can sort of watch it play out, and I will play it here as well for you guys, so you can just see it play in normal speed. But it is very, very, I think it's very, very close. Like people said, I just think the midsection is a factor as to why I'd give Brett more poses. I will say that one is definitely a Krizo pose. I gave that to Krizo. And Vincent N making a good point as well. I've seen Krizo's height put anywhere between 6 foot and 6'3". So I was trying to predict sort of how that would land. So that Crabhill says the lighting and skin color on Brett is so much better here. Yeah, absolutely. The lighting is definitely better, and the video quality is better as well, obviously. So we've got to take that into account when watching this. David Wood says it's not close at all, man. So whose side are you on, David? Krizo dominates Brett, man. Stop being biased. Okay. I don't think I'm being too biased. I'm trying to be pretty open about this. Some people even said, Brett dominates. Some people say Krizo dominates. It's actually a pretty sort of up in the air thing in terms of who thinks what. And it's replicated that by the poll I put up as well. So cool. So watch that all in full speed. I'll go back to the poll. There's a poll, obviously. Ooh, I won't refresh my StreamYard. I'll try to open this up. So I'm actually trying to get back to that tab. I don't know actually where I pulled it up, to be honest. Here we go. I think I found it. There we go. So very, very close on that poll. 3.3K votes. I'll update it, see if it's gone 50-50. No, still 49-51 to Michal Krizo. I'll actually try to find and open up where we're actually watching this stream. I'll go to the channel and try to find, should be on this front page here, the live. It might just play back at you for 1 second. Sorry, my voice might play back. We're not too bad, and see what you guys actually voted on the poll. So make sure you get your votes in. 45% after seeing this give Michal Krizo the win, and 55% say Brett Wilkin. 85 votes. Get your votes in. They'll still count. If you have Michal Krizo, vote him up. Or Brett Wilkin, obviously, as well. So 43% Michal Krizo, 57% Brett Wilkin. So Brett Wilkin takes that out by the votes. I have Brett Wilkin winning it as well, but I don't have him winning every single pose. And shout out to you guys for getting in the comments. Also, if you haven't liked this video, like it, give it a thumbs up if you're watching live or if you're watching later. And let me know your thoughts if you're watching later as well. Who do you have winning this? Do you have, oh, sorry, I'm playing that back myself. Do you have Michal Krizo or do you have Brett Wilkin winning this? I'll play this again for you guys so you can watch it as we wrap this up and I go to your comments. Yeah, Thor Stormland, 45% Krizo, 55% Brett. Seems to be around that. Jack the Bull says, I think Krizo didn't go all out for the pro qualifier. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because that's sort of, I'd say, his average condition that he does bring to shows. So perhaps he was sort of aiming for that show, and he's aiming to come in better condition than normal. Jeremy Yanowitz, Xavier Blade again. Do you sleep at all or sacrificing damn gains? Yeah, I'm not too worried about gains right now, man, but I'm getting back in the gym. See what everyone else is saying. Guys, this is a live competition or no? I don't understand. No, not a live competition. This is literally just a comparison between these two guys, between Brett Wilkin at the 2021 Chicago Pro and Michal Krizo from last week's contest at the Amateur Olympia. Both are competing very, very soon. Michal Krizo is competing in the, what's it called? He's competing in the Prague Pro, the EVLS Prague Pro. That's his sponsor. And Brett Wilkin's competing in the Romania Pro. If Krizo doesn't win the Prague Pro, however, which I think he will, then he will probably go on and compete against Brett Wilkin in 4.5 weeks' time. So let's go and check out their latest physique updates. I will go back to this and bring up what these guys are looking like right now. I think I'm going to the right page. Here we go. So Matt Jansen posted up this work in progress at Brett Wilkin. I actually sort of brought this to attention. Ron Harris from Muscular Development basically said, when I brought this up, this is the reason why I'm actually doing this video. So shout out Ron Harris from Muscular Development. He basically brought up that, well, someone asked a question to him, who would win, Michal Krizo, or do you think Brett Wilkin could beat Michal Krizo or something like that? And Ron Harris says, Brett Wilkin, and he said, I don't think so. And he said, Brett's a work in progress. So Brett's running with that. And I think that's cool. I like the way guys do that sort of thing rather than get angry about someone's predictions or comments. Now, this is Brett Wilkin doing that side tricep probably about a week ago because the Miracle Bear's there, Kalaczynski. I'm probably butchering both his first and last name. But yeah, I'd say that was about a week ago. So you can see Brett's looking pretty thick there. And he has his conditioning come in really, really quickly. So I'm not concerned whatsoever by that. And he's looking more conditioned now as well. So Michal Krizo has posted up this photo. This is actually a very impressive one. And this is what we saw before when he's hitting that crab most muscular. You can see the separation there between the deltoid and the bicep. I love to see that. I think that's awesome. He's getting some good lines through the chest. He looks pretty vascular. He looks pretty in condition, and he's obviously huge. It just depends whether his weaknesses on his physique, like his back and I suppose his hip to shoulder structure, and also, I mean, it looks great on the front lat spread, also on a front double bicep, but it's just, I suppose, structurally, he's not as complete as Brett, but I would say overall, obviously, he's bigger and just a bigger overall dude. So let me know who you would think in the comments below. I will go back to your comments as well quickly before I up this video. Rage704 says Brett has way better shape and condition. Crab, that's all. Thor Stormlord says, I feel Brett is going to be seriously upgraded on the O. Then things will again be very different. Brett actually hasn't done the Olympia, so, or if you think he'll be seriously upgraded by the Olympia, maybe. Krizo has to fix those soggy glutes if he wants to beat Brett, especially from the side. Krizo from the back actually had glutes. Just that the camera quality was not very good, unfortunately. MD Poll had Krizo beating Brett 90-10. So it's safe to say it's viewers of the show just supporting Brett, which is fine. It's just biased. It's actually interesting because not that many people that watch the live, a lot of them aren't actually regular viewers, which is surprising. So I don't know if that would be the case or not, but I think the live comes up on a lot of people's things. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for getting in the comments. If you guys ever want your comment 100% featured on any of these lives, make sure you drop a super chat. It's much appreciated too, and it helps support the channel and support myself as well. And Matt N says, who else is doing Romania? I'll answer this before we wrap it up. As far as I know, there's a guy named Baruz, who's Mil Sarchev's athlete, who comes in absolutely shredded. And he actually just posted a physique update. I may feature that in my next bodybuilding news video as well. So make sure you guys tune into that one. So let me know in the comments. Like I said, if you are watching this later, if you're watching it live, let me know. Give it a thumbs up. Smash that like button. If you're not subscribed to Desktop Bodybuilding, subscribe now. Hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up from myself, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding. So for Xavier Wills, Desktop Bodybuilding, we are out.